Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Concept. So today we are going to create this in Adobe Photoshop. So let's just get started.
Welcome to Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos.
First of all, let's open up our application. For this tutorial, I'm using Photoshop CC 2018. So I'll create a new file, and you can leave the width and height to whatever you want, but I'm going with 1920 by 1080p and hit OK. So let's zoom in a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a solid color, and I'll choose this red color from here. So this is AD0000. You can go ahead and use the same thing if you want. And I'm going to create a gradient overlay on top of this. Now before you do that, make sure that your foreground color is set to black. So I'll create a gradient, and I'll change this to radial. So of course I'll reverse this and increase the scale to about 500. Now I'm going to click and drag mine to the top like so. So the shadow will be appearing at the bottom here, and I'll click on OK. You can go ahead and duplicate this by hitting Ctrl J to get more shadows down here. Now I'm going to double click on this and increase this slightly to the top like so. But for the second part, I'm going to reduce the opacity to about 50%. So this is what we have before and after. Now let's create a new layer, and let's grab our brush tool and change the foreground color to white. Now let's see how our brush is looking. So I'll reduce the size a little bit by using my bucket keys. So right click and go to soft round, which is under general brushes. Soft round is going to be the first preset. So let's see how that is looking like. So for soft round, something like this should be okay. So let's try to draw the shape using this and see how it's going to look like. So this is a little bit too big, so I'll reduce the size to about 75 pixels, and let's see how that is going to look like. I think that is still a little bit too big, so I think I'll go with 50 pixels, but work with whatever is okay for you. Yep, I think 50 pixels is just fine. Now obviously we are not going to use our brush tool to create this, we are going to be using a pen tool. So go to the pen tool and create the shape. So I'll start from the top. Now I don't know which specific angle I'm going to use, so I'll hold down Ctrl and press R to bring the rulers, and I'll click and drag this to the center. Now Ctrl R to hide the rulers. So to create the tree, I'll click somewhere around here and move along this direction. Now you notice that as I'm going down, I'm increasing the distance between individual clicks, and I'm also increasing the width from the center to individual clicks. So I think somewhere around here should be fine, and I'm okay with this. So with that done, right click and go to stroke path. Now change the tool to the brush tool. So this is going to take the preset of the brush we just created. So everything is going to look just like the brush. Now with that done, just press enter to hide all the lines. Now with this layer, let's name it tree. Now with the tree layer selected, go to FX and click on stroke. Now change the position to outside. Change the fill type to gradient, and I'll click on the gradient right here. Now we are going to adjust a few things. We are going to be using this preset which comes with Photoshop built in. So it's orange, yellow, orange, and I'll click on OK. Now you can go ahead and increase the size to whatever you want, but I think I'll go with a size of about 1. And I'll change the screen mode to dissolve. Now this is going to give us this effect. So now that we have our stroke, we are going to create a gradient overlay on the white part. So click on gradient overlay. Click on the gradient right here and change it to orange, yellow, orange, and click on OK. Now you can go ahead and adjust how the gradient should look You can't see because my opacity is set to 20, so let me just increase it a little bit. So now you can see how it is going to look like. So I think somewhere around here should be just fine. Now I'm going to leave my opacity at 100 and I'm going to reduce the scale to about 100. So you can go ahead and play with it until you are comfortable with what you have. So I think I am, and I'll click on OK. Now this shape is looking a little bit too big for me, so I'll go to the move tool, holding down Ctrl and press T to bring up the transform tools. I'll hold down Shift and Alt and I'll reduce this somewhere around here. Should be just fine for me. And I'll click on OK. Now once I'm done, I'll go to the Shapes tool and I'll select a polygon. So we want to create a star for this, so make sure that your size is set to 5. So instead of clicking and dragging, I'm going to click on it once, like so. And I'll make sure I select star from here and indent the size by 50%. So I'll click on OK. And this is what I have. So I'll increase the size a little bit and try to rotate this to an angle, I think, which is looking a little bit much better. So I think an angle of -20 should be okay. And I'll comment OK at the top here. So now let's reduce the size and place that on top of our tree. So this is what we are having. Now we are going to copy the layer style of the brush we just created and paste it on top of our star. So to do that, you can just right click and go to copy layer style, select the polygon, which is our star, right click and go to paste layer style. So for the polygon, I'll rename it as star and I'll go into FX and increase the stroke a little bit. So I'll go with a stroke of about 15 and I'll adjust my gradient to a little bit. And I think I'm okay, so I'll click on OK. So for the star, I'm going to create a new layer on top. This time around, I'll grab my brush tool. Now I'm going to increase the size to about 100 pixels and I'll click on it just once. Now with my move tool selected, V on your keyboard, I'll click and drag this on top and increase the size a little bit. Now I'm going to FX and I'll click on color overlay. We want to change the white color to a yellow color or an orange. I think an orange would be okay, so I'll go to somewhere around here and I'll sample that orange color from there. And I'll click on OK. Now let's increase the size to something like this. And let's apply one more effect. So that effect would be the outer glow. And I'm going to set the outer glow to a little bit more light yellow. So I'm going with FFE 169 and I'll click on OK. Now if this is looking too horrifying for you, you can always play with the opacity as well as the size and the spread. So I'll go with a size of about, well, let's go all in 250 pixels and I'll increase the opacity a little bit and I'll click on OK. So I'm going to group these two and call them star, and I'm going to group this and call this tree. Now for the last part, that will be this, and I'll call it the background. Now once I'm done, I want to add a little bit more to the tree. So I'll go to the tree and I'll create a new layer. This layer, I'm going to call it tree particles. So I'll grab my brush tool, making sure that my foreground color is set to white. I'll go to window and click on brush settings. Now in brush settings, click on shape dynamics and increase the size jitter to about 100%. Go to scattering and increase scattering to about 1000. And I'll click on OK. So let's see how it is looking like. I think this is okay. So with a brush size of about 100, I'm going to first of all create a background for that. So you know what, let's create a new layer inside the background group. And I'll just click and drag this somewhere like this. And now of course I'll reduce the opacity to about 20%. So let's go back to our tree particles. This time around I'm not going with this big size. I'll just reduce it to about 20 pixels. And I'm going to try and follow the tree like so. Now I'll click and drag this beneath the tree shape. You can always reduce the opacity if it is looking too weird for you, but I think an opacity of 80 should be just fine for me. So let's zoom out and see how this effect is looking like already. So the last thing is to add in our text. So I'll type it in. I'll center this. Now the font I'm using is called Scriptina, I think. I'll click on it. I'll try and leave a link in the description below. And I'll increase the size to about 24. Let's bring this on top of our layers. So if you look closely, you can see that this text is a little bit thin. So we want to add in a little bit of stroke. Now change the fill type to color and change the blend mode to normal. Now I'll reduce the size and make sure that the color of the stroke is the same as the color of the text, so that will be white. And I'll click on OK. Now if you don't like the white color, just click on color overlay and change it to whatever you want. So I'm going to set mine to, I think yellow should be just fine for me. And once I do that, I'm just going to copy that color code, go back to my stroke and paste in that color code. And I'll click on OK. So basically for the effect we are done, but I just want to add in a little bit of glow to the tree shape we created. So I'll go to tree, double click on FX, and I'll add an outer glow. So I'm going to increase the size a little bit to look something like this. And I'm going to select a lighter color for this. Now you can always go ahead and play with the opacity. And that will be all. So basically that's how I created this using Adobe Photoshop. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concepts. So have a Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.